So someone left a post on our forum, discuss.techlore.tech, and the title is "Stop Saying Apple Respects User Privacy." And it's pretty much a whole post detailing the Apple privacy policy and how, I mean, you just read it for yourself, I think. I think that, like, they're not necessarily not making truthful statements, because I think a lot of what they say is true and it's just referencing the Apple privacy policy, but I think it lacks a lot of context. And I think that, and what I responded to this and I said, I think the entire basis of this argument comes from a position of interpreting positive remarks towards Apple as people saying they're 100% private, which I think is a common thing that I see. Like, I'll just say one thing, like, hey, I think lockdown mode's a really cool feature. And it gets met with, oh, but Apple's terrible for privacy. And it's like, but I never said that. Like, I literally just said lockdown is a really cool feature that offers people who want really good security a tool to be able to utilize that on their devices. Like, that can just be its own standalone isolated statement. That doesn't mean anything else. But where this is going, it's not actually, I think it's an interesting thread. Check it out if you want. I'll leave a link to it down below. But what I really wanted to talk about was someone responded saying Apple's obviously using that for its marketing. And someone said, this is a patron of ours actually, who's active on our forum. They market themselves as a company that respects privacy and acknowledges it as a human right. If they were caught harming the privacy of their users, they'll experience financial consequences that a for-profit company wants to avoid. Personally, I believe Apple cares about user privacy. The fact they have a financial incentive to uphold their privacy promises only makes it more convincing for me. Pretty much, I struggle with this, and I want to ask you about it and talk about it. I even say, I added you at this, and I said it'd be a fun Techlore Talks topic to debate, because on one hand, I agree that sticking your neck out and advertising privacy means you have to hit a bare minimum bar and prove to people that you are, in fact, private enough to, like, not be considered a loser and a hypocrite in the public's eye. People are like, haha, they advertise privacy and they can't even do the basics, so they're clearly lying. So they do have to have a base standard. The problem, and this is what I say also in my comment, is when the bar is being set by these companies who grossly over-advertise privacy. And people who are actually privacy respecting are seen as extreme in relation to that.
Sure.
So I guess that's the debate. Do you think it's a net positive or a net negative when we have big tech companies advertising privacy?
Like Apple specifically, or because I do think the approach that all these big tech companies take are very different. Because you have Google, on the other hand, who advertises privacy in the sense that they create new technology like the privacy sandbox, which has nothing to do with privacy. So from that perspective, I think the privacy marketing in that case is harmful because it creates a bad idea of what privacy is in people's minds in the first place. Whereas Apple, the way that they market it, it's like things are private because they're local on your device or because it's encrypted or whatever. And all of those things, you can debate whether, like, Apple is true to those claims and, like, whether the stuff that you do on your phone is actually local, or if iCloud has too much control, or if their account requirement for the App Store is too much, or all that kind of stuff. But the marketing points that they're making, yeah, they can certainly do better, and you can certainly argue that. But when they're, like, talking about privacy in people's minds, they're creating, like, an idea of privacy that I think is at least reasonable to have, right? Like, because when people think of privacy and they think of Apple, they think of things like encryption and things like local software running on your own hardware. And all of that stuff is actual privacy stuff. Even if Apple doesn't have the best implementation of that necessarily, it's good. It's better branding for privacy than, like, the privacy sandbox in Chrome.
Right. Yeah, I think that's the nuance of it is it genuinely an improvement from the average thing people are doing, perhaps, is a good way to look at it.